Hello. Uh, this is our slide. The 1960s People's Problem and the Militants. My name is Brian Uzoma,
I'm Justin Odum.
and we're here to present you our slide.
So
So for table of contents, we have 10 sections of the chapter that we read on the 1960s.
we'll be covering just general things like the introduction of the vibe of militancy to all the different ways that filmmakers try to approach capturing that in cinema.
So for our introduction, 1960s was still an era of racism, where pretty much Black people, mainly activists and militants, were tired of how racism was was still prevalent in the 60s. So instead of trying to be peaceful about their marches, they pretty much were trying to demand how racism should be ended and should have prevailed in the 60s, with Black military revolutions, marches, activists. And they prevalent in, and they included in films as well, uh, but they did it in two ways. The first approach is serial, lyrical, and poetic. And the second approach was for racial, high-spirited, and flashy.
So, going off of that note, some of the steps that they took to sort of quell the stereotypes, the racism, the one note characters that we had portrayed Black people as in cinema were through actresses like Ruby Dee, Ruth, and Diana Sands, who still at the end of the day played stereotypes sort of similar to the tragic mulatto, but brought more personality, more reason to it because with the era of militancy in the 1960s, that tragic nature wasn't just because they wanted to be having the same rights as white people, but realizing where that came from, which gave them a bit more depth. So, continuing on that note, um, Black art films were probably some of the most provocative films in the 1960s to cover this kind of idea, with movies like One Potato, Two Potato covering the dynamic that an interracial couple has to deal with living in a country like America, where their union is sort of seen as lesser or, in some instances, not even normal. Make sure to share your sound, Brian. Oh, and Brian, before you continue, make sure you go to the green bar and share your sound.
Okay, we're gonna add to, we're still recording, right? Now, for our next slide, step backwards. Pretty much, in this era for the 60s, still in the 60s, Black people were still trying to work their way up and trying to be good actors in this era. Uh, Predominantly, one of the actors, Ossis Davis, worked his way into becoming a Black leading actor in his era. However, due to the fact that he really didn't give off any type of aura of being a leading actor, just pretty much becoming an essential character, mainly a side character that you would enjoy, but not seen as the main character. And also due to the fact he was pretty much a tragic character where he tries to lead um, certain groups to high hopes, but lead into a tragic ending. Pretty much not only Otis Davis faced this, but also other Black actors faced this as well.
I hear the dead old voices calling, oh,
Not so loud. You want to wake up the mule?
Not on his day off.
Where's Luterbell, get low?
The history of the war between the states will be continued next week. Oh, that sure is a good story. I wonder how that's gonna come out.
Grown man, deacon of the church, reading the funny papers. And your shirt. You sneaked out of here this morning in your clean shirt after I told you time and time again I'm saving it.
Saving it for what?
It's the only decent thing you got to get buried in.
Don't you know that arrangements for my funeral have been taken over by the white folks? Besides, I got the money.
Money? What kind of money?
Oh, the $500 kind of money.
$500? You mean old Captain give you the money?
Get low.
And continuing, for the actors, pretty much they still portrayed as a leading hope, showing the racial injustice that Black people have been facing in the 60s, but pretty much meeting primarily in their end. One other famous actor, Al Freeman Jr., who pretty much started off as a good actor, not too important, not really showing essential as being one of the greats, until he came across to his next film, Dutchman, 1966, as performed as one of his best performances. The story revolving around a obsessed white woman towards a Black man on a subway train, and pretty much was trying to have a relationship with him. But unfortunately, he did not want the relationship, Al Freeman portraying as the character in the film, and tried to proclaim the struggles that Black people face during the 60s. However, due to that fact, he met his own demise.
Come on, Clay. Come on. Get up and scream at these people. Don't sit there dying the way they want you to die, baby. Get up!
Oh.
Get up! Get up!
God damn it, sit down!
Screw yourself, Uncle Tom. Thomas Woollyhead. Oh, there's Uncle Tom. I mean, Uncle Thomas Woollyhead. His old white mackin' man hobbles on his boogie cane. Oh, Tom. Oh, Tom. Like a white man humped his old mama, he'd be shuffled off in the woods and hide his gentle gray head. Oh, Thomas Woollyhead. 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 Oh, Thomas. Wait! You let me go! You black son of a bitch! You let me go!
You just shut the hell up. Keep your stupid mouth closed. You don't know anything, so just keep your stupid mouth closed.
You're afraid of white people. Come on, Clay.
Now, for our next slide, Way Down South portrays another movie, Hurry South Down. This was filmed in 1967. This film was unique, trying to fight off the racism that was prevalent in the 60s. However, they kind of fall short due to a few stereotypes. Example would be Diane Carroll, who played pretty much as a really boring character, portrayed doll-like. Not really an interesting side character that you would not want to see in the film. As we've seen in multiple films in the 60s and in present time, side characters are interesting in a way that it can be relatable. However, Carell didn't really portray any of those traits the side characters had to make her into an interesting character. While Bean Richards played as a militant mommy who pretty much gave us an interesting perspective of what a side character is. Now we go into one of the interesting interesting times in the 60s, with a film called A Man Called Adam. It featured actors such as Sammy Davis Jr., Cicely Tyson, Peter Lawford, and O.C. Davis. It also featured Louis Armstrong, one of the most famous musicians in the 60s. He wasn't really portrayed as an actor, more as a musician, which was surprising due to the fact that he was somehow able to portray himself as an actor with his body language in a way he made his music more memorizing for the people. But during this time, there were actors who wasn't really as lucky in this time, or pretty much like Louis Armstrong, primarily Sam E. Davis Jr., whose career really kind of sank down due to the fact that he was portrayed as an actor who really can't act, questioning whether he should even become an actor in the first place.
Of course.
All right. We'll be there.
I had a woman. So what? I had five. Living way back of town. Yes. Well, she treated me right. Never let me down. But I wasn't satisfied. What did you do? I had to run around just like your daddy.
Of course.
Now, to one of the best besides the era that we shown, we are going to show you one of the best actors of the 60s eras, Sidney Poitier. Not only if we have to compare him to the current century that we're in as Will Smith, due to the fact that he was able to portray as a good natural actor, having the abilities that outshine other actors such as O.C. Davis and Sammy Davis Jr. But due to the fact of MLK being assassinated during this time, he lost his relevancy um, in his movies. However, he was still portrayed as one of the best actors in the 60s.
Starring Academy Award winner Spencer Tracy, Academy Award winner Sidney Poitier, Academy Award winner Katharine Hepburn. Introducing Katherine Houghton. 3 Academy Award winners and a bright young newcomer combine their talents in a love story of today.
I haven't even told you his name. Mom, it's John Wade Prentice. Isn't that a lovely name?
John Wade.
Joanna Prentice I'll be.
What the hell is going on here?
I love your daughter. There is nothing I wouldn't do to try to keep her as happy as she was the day I met her. But it seems to me, without your approval, we will make no sense at all. That is why I'm asking for the clearest possible statement of what your attitude is going to be.
I appreciate that, Doctor. It's almost in the form of an ultimatum.
Not quite, Mr. Drayton. All you have to say is goodbye.
Now, where Sidney Poitier was an actor that portrayed almost the model black man, sort of an evolution of the Tom stereotype, Jim Brown was the antithesis, where he's the evolution of the black buck in the sense that he's the biggest black man out there. He takes no trash from nobody and is sort of, in a way, a punch fantasy, black person's black person, where actors would usually try to portray a character that's relatable while he portrays a character that can't be stopped and a character that's sort of the icon of black separatist and militancy for the 1960s. And then to round out the 1960s, essentially at this point, most films have gotten comfortable portraying political themes, whether they're satire or introspective or analytical, covering the wider African American community or just the American racial dynamic in general. Movies like Uptight covering a post MLK assassination Black community, The Learning Tree going into the more personal experiences of the author who wrote it, and then Swope sort of taking a more satirical and maybe even to some consider outdated look at Black America.
This is Gordon Parks, successful and honored photojournalist. His career as composer, poet, and author has brought him worldwide recognition. His music, like the music you're hearing, has been performed by symphony orchestras in New York, Philadelphia, Venice, and Munich. His books have been published in 9 languages. The 15th and youngest child of a Kansas farmer, he told of how it was growing up in his best-selling novel, The Learning Tree. And now, Gordon Parks has returned to the town where he lived it, and there made that story into a motion picture.
Maybe he's with Jack. Now don't start worrying stuff.
I'll find him, Mama. Hurry, Pete.
And with that, that brings our presentation to a close. Thank you for listening. And I've been Justin, and my partner's been. Thank you for watching.